Personality Development Part 4 is Schools of Thoughts for Living Life on Earth and Meta Flights into Immortality and Bliss. We, the human beings, live our life on this earth based on certain schools of thoughts for life. And these schools of thoughts on which we live on are also known as scripts people live by, paradigms people live on, and maxims of life. So, schools of thoughts for living life on this earth are also known as the scripts people live by, paradigms people live on, and maxims of life. A school of thought on body level has a maxim, Shariram Vyadi Mandiram. Body is subject to disease. Here, body is reference base. Another school of thought based on consciousness, micro or macro consciousness, has a different maxim, Shariram Deva Mandiram. It is Atma Tum Girjamati Sehachara Prana Shariram Graham. That is, body is the sacred and body is the holy abode of Param Brahma, macro consciousness, personified as Shiva, Vishnu, et al. Naturally, therefore, the person who is living on the maxim of Shariram Vyadi Mandiram, body is the subject to disease, will attract by the law of attraction the diseases in the body, the illness in the body. And another maxim derived hereby by another school of thought, Shariram Deva Mandiram, the abode of infinity, infinity energy will radiate and glow with infinite energy. So therefore, if the school of a thought of a person is Shariram Vyadi Mandiram, he will be magnetizing his aura, magnetizing the energy that is generated by him, by his mind, around his body, that will attract diseases of the body, illnesses in the body, and that will lead to mortality. And the person who lives on the school of thought of body is sacred, that Shariram Deva Mandiram, body is sacred and is a abode of Param Brahma, the macro consciousness, personified as Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, or Krishna, Rama, Hanuman. So his body, he considered his body as a sacred because it is the abode of the Atman, Paramatman, Vashti Chetana, Samashti Chetana. Therefore, certainly he will attract by the law of attraction all the forces that lead to infinite energy, infinite power, infinite intelligence, and infinite presence. And therefore he will radiate with glow all around his body and his mind. His internal personality and external personality will all glow into glory of the infinity. Therefore, these schools of thoughts on which we people live by are highly important. The shifting of reference base has caused a world of difference in the lives of people. And hence we must shift our reference base from Shariram Vyadi Mandiram to Shariram Deva Mandiram. Then another school of thought is that life is for enjoyment. A person who lives on this school of thought, that life is for enjoyment, will exhaust the body in surface living and enjoyment. The mind then shall become tired in surface pollution. Mentality will lead to the mortality. It will lead to the mortality in the end. So the school of thought that says the life is for enjoyment, people say, I'm enjoying my life. The life is for enjoyment, will exhaust the body in surface living and enjoyment. The mind then shall become tired in surface pollution, mortality will be there. In comparison, another person who is living on the school of thought of life is for enlightenment will think of awakening all knowledge, all power, and ever presence. So the school of thought for living life on this earth, where a person thinks life is for enlightenment, will be materially different from the person who thinks life is for enjoyment. For the person who thinks life is for enlightenment, the sky of the infinity in power, knowledge, and presence will be his mindscape for exploration. Immortality will be his quest. The life is in a school of thought that is based on life is futile or meaningless. The person with this kind of thought base will end in pessimism because he thinks life is futile, it's meaningless. He will end in pessimism, misery, and extinction. But life has a purpose. A school of thought is quite different from the life is futile. The life has a purpose, a school of thought will lead to creative vision and a great work and immortality. The life has a purpose, is a better school of thought than the life is futile and meaningless. Life is futile and meaningless will lead to inaction. Or if there is forced action, it will be without enthusiasm. But life has a purpose will have enthusiasm, excitement in life. And it will be a creative life. Then there is another school of thought for living life on this earth that it says life is war and struggle. And the persons who live their life on this school of thought of life is war and struggle will make the person this thought itself will make the person quarrelsome, bitter, and ever in conflict, struggling. So when the maxim of life is war and struggle, the person will become quarrelsome, bitter, and ever in conflict, and he will be struggling in life. If the maxim of life is infinite energy, intelligence, the person who believes in or whose mind dwells on the maxim of life is infinite energy, intelligence, will make the person enthusiastic, optimistic, and progressive. Therefore, the schools of thoughts or the maxims we live by are highly important for our life. The maxim of Shariram Vyadi Mandiram, Shariram Deva Mandiram, is better to base our life on the maxim of Shariram Deva Mandiram, or the life is for enjoyment as compared to life for enjoyment. Life for enlightenment is a better maxim. In this manner, life as a purpose is a better maxim to live on as compared to the life is futile. Life is for enlightenment is a better maxim. Immortality will be his quest when the person thinks life is for enlightenment. Similarly, there are other maxims of life or the schools of thoughts for living a life on this earth. These maxims are life is a challenge and opportunity. The person will take life as a challenge and opportunity and will be engaged in work and will achieve something in life. Life is a drama. A person thinks life is a drama, he will have a different outlook towards life. And then life is sacred. He will think that life is divine, it is sacred. So his attitude towards all humankind and all living beings will be quite different. Life is divine. This is also another maxim for life. So the schools of thoughts define the biography of an individual. If we come to know the maxim a person lives on, we'll know his entire biography, mental biography, inner personality, and naturally that inner personality is projected into external activities and life. So by knowing the maxims of his life, by knowing the schools of thoughts a person lives by, or by knowing the paradigms he lives on, or the scripts he lives on, we will know immediately the base on which the person is living his life, that will define the theory of his existence, the biography of the individual, in a nutshell, condensed in a maxim or a thought. We should therefore be critical of examining the maxims of life we live on. Most of these maxims are of low altitude flights. They are required for survival on this earth within the altitude of mortality. But there are a few maxims of life which are based on the high altitude flights of mind, meta flights of mind into immortality and bliss. What are those maxims of life that are based on the high altitude flights of mind for immortality and bliss? These are these are the meta flights based on the maxims that lead to bliss and immortality. So when you get used to the meta flights by the meditation on micro and macro consciousness, then our attitude to life changes completely. And there are three ways of meditation. One, we can meditate on the faculties, on the attributes, on the vibhutis of a divine life, or vibhutis of the life of immortality. For instance, the courage, enthusiasm, bliss, power, infinite intelligence, infinite power, infinite presence. This can be conceptualized. We are having experience in our day-to-day life. When there is fear, immediately it affects our body and mind. When you are enthusiastic, we are going to do something great, we feel enthusiastic. So these abstract qualities can be conceptualized, can be thought of in the mind, and our mind can dwell on those qualities. So when our mind dwells on the vibhutis, on the attributes of greatness, because these attributes of greatness are derived from same infinite power. Tejas Tejasvinamaham, Buddhir Buddhimatam Asmi, Balam Balvatam Chaham. All these are derived from the great same infinite power, infinite consciousness and energy. Second method is to meditate on the personalized macro consciousness, the Devatas, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha, and the incarnate personified macro consciousness, Krishna and Sri Rama, Hanuman. We can meditate on them on the principle of Devo Bhutva Devam Yajeta. This is the ancient principle for meditation. We develop the qualities of the deity, we think of, we meditate on. So developing these qualities and remaining aware that it is the personification of Brahman. We should remember ever that they are the personification of the all power, all knowledge, all presence, Param Brahman. That's the true method of meditation. Or we can meditate in our own micro consciousness and macro consciousness as an abstract power, infinity, all knowledge, all presence. And it doesn't require more time, a few minutes of dedication, a few minutes of meditation, off and on, whenever time permits, is enough to develop these powers of the charisma in our personality that will begin to glow in our internal personality and also express an external personality. Therefore, Amritasya Putraha, he and she, O children of immortality, our fraternity, let us venture into better flights to immortality and bliss.